Alright, to be science. It's been like 8 months since the marquee was lit here at the Tower Theater and they were beginning the renovation process. We're gonna see what's happened since then.
We opened with a soft opening launch on June 28th and then closed for a few days for the 4th of July weekend, and we've been running ever since then. The bar is Savings and Loan, a craft cocktail bar, and I am Aaron Rostad, one of the bar leads here. Yeah, we're definitely working on an elevated craft cocktail concept. So we make a lot of our own syrups and juices, and we're really focused on fresh house-made ingredients in our cocktails. And so we have an original cocktail menu that's developed by the staff. We also are really great at the classics, and we've gone through a lot of cocktail recipe books to see if Jerry Thomas's pre-Prohibition style is the best iteration of a particular classic cocktail, or does Jeffrey Morgenthaler have a better recipe and a more modern flair on it. So we're really cool with all of the classic cocktails. We have a really great curated beer selection. It's on the smaller side, but it hits all the right points. We have a wine on tap program and a really cool captain's list.
Nice. And you were saying you're going to do something with those little mini barrels that I saw kind of going up.
Yeah, we have some 3 and 5 liter wood barrels. Right now we're treating them with water so that the wood will swell and the barrels will be watertight. And then after that, we're going to do some barrel-aged cocktails. One bartender, Brandy, has an idea to do a barrel-aged white Negroni that uses mezcal instead of gin. You may see like a barrel-aged Manhattan or a barrel-aged original cocktail.
And you just handed me something that's delicious. It's not quite a sour beer, but it's got that same kind of kick, and it's by Prairie.
Yeah, Prairie Artisan Ales. It's their Funky Gold Mosaic. It's a sour farmhouse ale.
Yeah, and I don't want to blow any of your secrets, but I kind of do. So Can you tell me again about you got this tiny little beer that I've never seen before?
Yeah, for sure.
Doing beers and a shot special.
Yeah, even though we're hyper focused on our craft original cocktail menu, we understand that not everybody wants to get 3 rounds of craft cocktails. Maybe you try a cocktail and then you want to just chill with a beer. And that kind of goes hand in hand with our vibe of striving to not only be a craft bar, but also a friendly neighborhood bar. So we've got these $2 Rhinelanders that are kind of our house special beer.
Yeah. How late do you guys stay open? When do you really, start opening up and all that good stuff?
We are 7 days a week, 4 p.m. to 2 a.m., all 7 days.
What else is going on in the building? Is it just you guys right now?
Right now, it's just us. Tower is under construction with a hopefully targeted October open, but there are a lot of delays that can happen with a historic building like the Tower and the rebuild and construction that goes into that. Che, modern Korean restaurant, is opening a steam bun counter. The Pump is opening another bar in this building called The Bunker. And then there's one large space that's still for lease that we're hoping another really cool neighborhood business can come in and fill.
That's amazing. When are they going to start doing the music and stuff down on the big space?
Hopefully targeting October sometime, and really looking to utilize that Tower space frequently. And so instead of having 2 shows a week, maybe 2 or 3 shows a week, and then supplementing it with a live stage show, or maybe I've heard some talk about trying to possibly renovate the antique projector and doing some old 70mm projector movies. So really trying to turn that into a community event space.
Yeah. And you mentioned there's a metal night.
Metal Mondays. Every Monday night at about 9 o'clock, we change over from soul music to a classic metal playlist. It ranges everywhere from classics to modern. So you'll hear Metallica next to Twisted Sister, next to Anthrax, next to Mastodon. So
are there other nights like that?
We're working on filling out some theme nights. Right now, Metal Monday is the only one that's kind of set in stone. But what's really cool about themed nights, especially if a bartender can take ownership of a themed night, is that you have consistency. You're gonna know that every Monday night I'm behind the bar rocking some metal music and having fun with it. So we're looking at theming some other nights and having some bartenders take ownership of those nights so that they can build up a following.
Yeah, and I think Aaron's gonna give us an interesting example of his Wisconsin Old Fashioned, which I'm gonna assume it entails the muddling of a variety of the fruit, which is the cherry and the orange, and the bitters and the sugar cube, all going to be muddled together into a hot mess. But don't tell people in Wisconsin that, because they absolutely love it. This is the call for. So here we go. Let's muddle away and combine all those lovely ingredients, and really is building the cocktail.
Now, would it taste better if you sang to it, or?
I don't know if Aaron has a mantra to that. It's what's a famous in Wisconsin?
Well, it would have to be some sort of polka, right?
Yeah. So we're gonna do the brandy next. We're using our American, oh, we're using the apple? Nope. No, we're not. We're gonna use the American craft brandy.
I used the apple in that Bucharest on accident though.
So we're using the American craft brandy. It's a 90 proof brandy. That's been aged in the once used bourbon barrel. This one would have come out of a Woodford Reserve barrel. It's a really good bourbon. We're gonna top it off with some Topo Chico.
Which is a mineral water, right?
Correct. A little bit of lemon juice. Oh my gosh, Aaron's putting another whole flip on this.
No, this is really the
Is
garnish.
this it? The garnish?
This is really the garnish.
This
in
is scaring me,
Wisconsin.
man. I've never seen this.
A Wisconsin old fashioned.
I hope we're enough to try that.
I'll try.
Give it a shot.
So whereas a normal old fashioned would simply be just the bitters, sugar, and the brandy.
What was the last thing you added?
An olive.
An olive garnish.
What do you think?
More brandy is drank over a Wisconsin Christmas than during the entire Second World War.
Different.
Yep, that's what he said people would say.
Different.
They don't do this in OKC, that's for sure.
Very different. Well, now they do.
I'm curious, what's the expert's opinion?
Yeah, for me, it's just a very light version of it. You know, it's like you're adding the soda water, you're diluting it down a bit, so you don't get to taste a lot of the spirit, which for me is the sad point. But you know, I think you can drink a lot of those, and I think that's the point of the Wisconsin Old Fashioned. If you dilute it down a bit, it lessens that ABV with the proof on it, and you can drink a few of them.
Why is it not?
Busy
I don't know.
That's just wow, this one's already hitting me. I guess this one's not a weak one, huh?
Yeah, you know, I think someone always said to me the two things you can do in Wisconsin, and I don't know if I'm allowed to say them, but it's drinking and the other thing. It gets
Fishing.
yeah, fishing, making puzzles with the human body. It gets really cold up there, and there's not much you can do besides those two things. So
Nice fishing.
This will cure it, I promise you that.
exactly.
Who else do we have here today?
This is Brandon Choate. He is one of our bartenders and has really done well with coming up with some new cocktails for our menu.
Yeah. Do you guys do any specials kind of during the day for the local business people?
We don't have like a true happy hour. There's some laws that go along with running specials like that, but we do have like consistent specials. Like our beer in a shot you can get for $6. And what's really cool about our beer in our shot is we use Espolón tequila for the shot, but we have a house-made sangrita back. And sangrita is the traditional Central Mexico chaser for tequila, and it's a spiced blend of fruit juices. So we take a lot of the fruit juices we already have on hand and combine them and then add some spicy elements to them. And it's this really cool flavor profile that follows tequila really well.
Wow. Will you tell me briefly where the name came from?
This building used to be called, I've seen it as Beneficial Loans, and I think I've also seen it as Loan and Beneficiaries, but I think it was Beneficial Loan Company. And so playing up on the history of this space, and then also being a two-tiered bar, it was kind of cool to have like this stark, austere, sleek downstairs bar kind of represent the savings, and then the really plush lounge vibe be like the loan. So we have the savings bar and the loans bar, and it's savings and loan.
Yeah. How's the community? Do you get along with all the other businesses, the bars?
The support from Uptown 23rd has been really, really incredible. Whether it was way back when we did the tower marquee lighting and everybody who turned out for that and to tour the building, and the relationships that we've built with the other bars in this corridor, we're seeing a real lift in Uptown 23rd and Northwest 23rd becoming this really cool destination. We're seeing a lot of party buses and limos come in on the weekends, and people being able to hit the Rockford and being able to hit us and the Pump. And then when the bunker opens up, it's just going to add to that. So it's kind of a rising tide lifts all ships kind of thing. And so us being the new guy, a lot of people are here to check us out, and it just adds to the whole corridor that there's a lot of entertainment options now.
Yeah. Are you guys going to introduce like food, DJs, anything like that?
There's been talk about whether or not DJs or some sort of live entertainment. We want to hit some of those points without like doing all the trite like things that everybody does. We want to kind of set ourselves apart. And maybe that includes having a DJ. Maybe Metal Monday turns into we have somebody come in with a vinyl collection of like old school punk and metal and just plays vinyl metal all night. I think that would be really rad, and I don't see anybody else around here doing that. As far as food, we won't ever have like a full menu of food items. We may bring in some snackable items. And one of the real big benefits of Che opening up a steam bun counter is people are going to be able to grab steam buns from that counter and bring them in here.
Yeah. And then if people want to book this space, do they talk to you? Can they? What's the deal?
Yeah, the upstairs space is definitely bookable. And that would be through our GM, Alex Larrea. And that they can just email us, savingsandloanbar@gmail.com. And talk about the night of the week, the rates for that, and how that program works.
Yeah. What are your other social media accounts?
Savings Loan Bar is Twitter, I think. Savings and Loan Co. or Savings and Loan Bar is Instagram, I believe. Let me just double check those, because I'm not in charge of those.
Okay,
Savings and Loan Bar, Instagram.
Savings and Loan Bar is Instagram.
cool.
And Twitter, I think there's no and. I think it's Savings Loan Bar is Twitter.
Perfect. So you're from, tell me about the company that you work with.
So Copper and Kings is out of Louisville, Kentucky. We've been around selling for approximately 2.5 years now. We have a beautiful distillery just outside downtown Louisville in an area called Butchertown. We have 3 beautiful pot stills, all named after women in Bob Dylan songs. So we're heavily influenced by music and by American whiskey. So we
They play music to the barrels.
Oh yeah, so we go that far. So we named our pot stills after Bob Dylan women, as I said, and we will play music to the barrels. Wow. So we keep our basements at a very even temperature, and we play music 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We do not let temperature affect it like in a traditional rick house that you find in Kentucky, where hot and cold will contract and expand the barrels. We let the music vibrate the distillate around. So yeah, and then we age our brandy in once used bourbon barrels. So we're putting in more of an American slant in our in our brandy, as opposed to trying to copy a cognac out of France, which doesn't use bourbon barrels. It uses a French limousine oak barrel, which imparts very different flavors than our brandy. So our brandy has good spikes on the palate that you get from a whiskey, and a really good smooth finish that you'll get from the grapes.
Interesting. Okay, so I'm gonna try this, but you tell me while I'm trying this how long this process takes and what you guys do to make it different.
So yeah, I mean, I'm not too sure what cocktail.
That's a Vucare.
Metavucare, fantastic. So what I love about our brandy is that, first of all, it's a little bit higher proof than a lot of other brandies out there. It's 90 proof as opposed to 80. So it helps stand out in the cocktail. We want you to taste the spirit, and we also want you to. Yeah, exactly. You're gonna, and that's what I.
Flavored, right?
Yep.
It's. My boss always describes brandy as being very promiscuous, and I love that phrase because it speaks twofold. One, you put it into a barrel, it's going to extract a lot of that flavor out of the barrel. So you're going to get a lot of those vanilla caramel notes that you get from a bourbon barrel. You're going to get some of that oak spiciness. But then on the other level, promiscuous in the way that it plays very well with other spirits and any other fresh juices that you might use in a cocktail.
Yeah.
So when you
know what's in this particular cocktail?
I'm not too sure what rye.
Rye.
Which rye did you use by
I used
chance?
the Old Overholt
Old Overholt rye.
With the
American
Copper and
Craft
Kings
brandy.
and then Carpano Antica Formula Italian Vermouth, and Dom Benedictine.
Can you tell me a bit about the area you're from? Like, what's it look like? What are the vineyards like? What makes it different from any other vineyard?
So we get all our grapes from California. So, and to tell you how important it is, the grapes in our product, is we hired a 7th generation winemaker to be our master distiller, because the grapes is the essence of our product. He needs to know when he's picking his grapes, which is good and which are bad. Because you start with a bad grape, you're gonna get a bad brandy.
Yeah.
So very important that he knows his grapes well and the terroir that we have, and that's all the Central Valley really of California. We picked 3 grape varietals: Muscat, Colombard, and a Chenin Blanc. So it's a blend of all those 3 grapes, all beautiful grapes, and we're very lucky that we can source them from California and bring them out to Kentucky and make it there. Unfortunately, Kentucky, they make some grapes, but they're not very good for making brandy or wine.
Like Oklahoma grape.
Yeah, much like. How can you tell a good spirit from a bad spirit? Is there other legs, you know? Is it kind of a smell thing? Is it
I think it really is a lot to do with an individual palate. I think, it's where you are in your journey of tasting alcohol. I think it's very important that, you can't progress from drinking a vodka to 100 proof whiskey, for example. There's various stages that you need to go to in your development of that palate and your taste profile. What I think is good or bad is really what you think is good or bad. Because what I think is good, you might think is bad, and vice versa. So I will never say, I'm never going to say one thing's bad and another thing is not bad.
Where are you guys? Where are you located with the, where have you distributed them?
So yeah, we started off essentially in Kentucky, where our distillery is, of course, and then we grew into what we call the Brandy Belt, which is Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Illinois. Those are really big, high consumption brandy.
Wisconsin is the #1 consumer of brandy.
Absolutely.
Really?
I know this because I'm from Wisconsin.
And they make a Wisconsin Old Fashioned, which is very different from Old
The
Fashioned.
most different Old Fashioned. And you can order it one of 3 ways: a brandy Old Fashioned sweet, a brandy Old Fashioned sour, or a brandy Old Fashioned press.
Press? Really? Interesting.
Not a lot of people like the Wisconsin Old Fashioned, no offense, but if you're not used to it, it's very kind of shocking when you get it, because there's a muddled fruit and it's soda topped on top of that, and it's very different. But we started in those markets and then we've expanded, and we're currently in 27 states.
Wow.
The progress has been probably faster than anybody would have wanted, but I think what it's showing you is that distributors want to get ahead of the curve, and they see brandy as being the next big thing. And you might as well pick up that product now and help it grow in your market than to be a follower. Let's be a leader. So it's very good for us, of course, but we have a huge task in front of us in order to educate the public, like I said to you earlier, about brandy being the #1 spirit in America, but also just what is brandy? People don't know, and I always use this really kind of layman's terms to describe brandy. Think of brandy as cooked wine, and you think of whiskey as cooked beer.
Okay, that makes sense.
So wine made from grapes, and that's, I think people can get that. Okay, so beer is grain, it's wheat, barley, and we cook that and we'll make a whiskey. Brandy is fruit.
What's the social media? How do people find you guys?
So we're at Copper and Kings on all our social media platforms, whether it's Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on Pinterest. We really have a great following on Facebook. We're very, very lucky to have people out there that enjoy what we're doing from an artistic point of view, I think, as well, because of our connection with music. And we have some great graphic designers that work for us. They really go out of their way to try and give the brand an elevated platform above just being an alcohol brand. So this is really interesting. Well, a lot of people don't know the history of brandy in America. The first recorded history of brandy is actually 1640 on Staten Island. So, that's 8 years before rye whiskey and almost 180 years before bourbon. So we can honestly say that brandy was the first spirit of America. Now, a lot of people don't know that. And during the 1800s, brandy was at its high point. I mean, you're talking about 400 distilleries in Kentucky alone that made brandy. And unfortunately, we had a very sad thing happen in this country that was called Prohibition. And that essentially killed off the entire brandy industry. There were actually only 6 licenses granted to distilleries to actually make brandy for medicinal purposes only. So that essentially killed off brandy. And after Prohibition ended, it was too expensive, to recultivate the land, to plant the vineyards again. There was also a thing called the Great Depression, which unfortunately the necessity to produce grain was more than growing grapes. We had a thing called World War II, which sent a lot of soldiers off, and they drank gin and vodka and rum and came back to America with completely different palates. So we saw brandy completely disappear. It was the 1980s when there were a few craft distilleries on the west coast of California, that started producing brandy again. And they were really, in our opinion, the guys who started the revolution. Fast forward to today, 2016, and how we got into the business is that we see it being the next big thing. Like, I think it's only a matter of time before the public gets too tired of another bourbon, another bourbon, another bourbon. It's like there's only so much we can take of that, and brandy really is a very elegant spirit. It's made from grapes, essentially. You can make brandy from any fruit, but grapes is the predominant fruit that we use, and it's distilled twice. You're trying to retain as much flavor as you can out of those grapes because they're very aromatic and they've got a lot of flavor to them. And it produces a very delicate spirit and ladders extremely well in a cocktail. And you know, we're having a Jack Rose cocktail, and we can make old fashions with it, and all these traditional recipes all called for brandy, but all essentially disappeared because of Prohibition. Yeah, so my name is Jono Marcus. I'm a regional sales manager for Copper & Kings. I live in Austin, Texas, but I look after 4 great states being Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, and Texas. I am at JonoM11 on Instagram, and on Facebook, I'm Jono Marcus.
Excellent. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. This is amazing.
Thank you.
Appreciate the time.
Thank you for the time. Yeah, it's awesome.
I don't know. We were all following you. Oh, well, you want to start a bar up here?
That's not the right way.
Oh, no, that's definitely not it. Maybe we're not supposed to be up here.
There'll be a spiral staircase that goes down to the first floor and it'll allow access to the people on the stage within the tower to come up the spiral staircase into their own private green room. So if you walk back there on that other door, you can kind of see that gangway that's in between the two buildings. It'll allow them to bridge that and then come up into their green room here, which has like 2 living areas, 2 bathrooms.
So you were saying something about a spiral staircase?
Yes. It's going to be accessible through one of those 2 units right back there.
Cool.
So it'll be a private entrance for whoever's performing.
Neat. That's awesome.
Because that was one of the issues that they had with this space as a performance space, because they said there's nowhere for there to be a green room. So they invented one.
That's a really... Hey, what's going on?
Come checking out the tower. Right?
Yeah, same
cool.
here. I'm doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Pardon me.
Yeah, you do.
Look at all the people. That's incredible.
I saw a picture of this online.
Hey, give me a hug. I'm good. You want to say hi?
Yeah, sure. Hi.
It's Carrie Myers. Well, have you been in? Have you checked it out?
Yeah, I just came out.
I'm going to wander in. Hey.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. This is Chad.
Well, here's one of the owners right here.
Oh, no shit. You're one of the owners? Do you mind introducing yourself to the bar?
Yeah, no, I already talked to Ben and Jonathan Dodson.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay.
Jonathan Dodson?
Yeah.
Awesome. So when is the final kind of opening going to happen?
Well, so we're turning the space over to the tenant, and they will begin build out probably next week.
Oh, wow.
So they'll be showing, our first show will be in April.
April.
Yep.
That's amazing.
So
that's cool.
Yeah.
How long has this taken to get to this point?
Well, I mean, this building's been vacant and it's been trying to be renovated for about 10 years. We took over the property last October, so we've had it 12, 14, we've had it 15 months.
This is a lot of work for that short time.
It is.
It's incredible.
So, yeah.
I saw some of the empty offices up there. I mean, like everyone just started wandering throughout the building.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine.
And what's going to happen up there? There's some really big spaces up there.
Yeah, no, so we've got to the south of the building is 3,300 contiguous square feet that we'll lease out to an office user.
Yeah.
This back side, the north side, is all leased out. It'll be a green room for the band members. We'll have a crosswalk that actually goes out onto the stage, and then we'll have Steven Tyler is doing some film and production as well. So,
That's awesome.
yeah,
I
so
can't wait for that.
Thanks.
Cool. So do you expect that this is going to get filled up within this year,
Yeah,
2016?
yeah,
That's
absolutely.
incredible.
So, and then we've got restaurants and bars on on the retail side.
Do we know the name of the new bar yet?
I do, but I don't know if I'm allowed to say.
Oh, okay.
So,
Yeah, no, don't tell anybody.
Yeah,
That's fine. Well, thank you. What's the capacity?
It depends on the fire marshal ultimately, but we think if we don't have seats in, so we'll have seats in and out. So if seats are in, it's about 500 downstairs and 200 up.
Wow.
If it's standing, then it's about 800 to 900 down and 200 up.
No joke. Are they already booking?
Yeah, they are.
Do they know who the first headliner is?
Maybe.
Oh, again. All right. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate the interview.
It's nice seeing you.
All right, good to see you.
What do you think? Hey! Better than it did.
Hi, Steve. Hey, Boo Science, Anthony Pago. This is the blog, so I don't know if you want to say hi or not.
Don't worry about it.
Cool. All right. Wow. How you guys doing?
Good, how are you, man?
It's good to see you.
Hi, I'm Weston Dennis. I actually work with Fitzsimmons Architecture, and I'm just here with the guys checking out our new projects.
That's amazing. How long have you guys, yourself, like your company, been working on this?
I'm actually not sure. I just started a couple weeks ago, but I know that it's been over a year working on the project.
Yeah. Well, the place looks freaking amazing.
It's going to be good. It's going to be good for music. It's going to be good for OKC. So.
Well, you can hear everything in here right now. You think the carpet and stuff is they're going to put some stuff on the wall to dampen, some of the noise?
Actually, I need to get someone over here that knows the answer to that. I know that there is going to be a floor finish put on.
I bet it'll change the acoustics dramatically.
Yeah, there's going to be some stuff going on over there. And,
what is up there?
I think that's just the second level for seating, and then there's actually a bar that's going to be open all the time. It's going to be above this place.
No joke. Are you allowed to tell me what the theme is or anything?
I think this is pretty much it. I mean, they're just going for kind of a vaulted, like scallop space. I don't know a whole lot about the designs, being that I just started working here.
Right.
I know that this is pretty much what the motif is in here, just this light.
Cool. Well, thanks for giving me a little bit of information.
Always good to see you.
What's the next project? Do you know?
We've got, Fitzsimmons-wise, we've got a lot going on.
Okay, no, I won't put that in. That's fine.
But yeah, we got like 25 companies there.
That's what we need to know. Wow, that's a lot. So the city's moving in your opinion, right?
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah. So you'd encourage people to come here, bring their businesses now's the time, or should they wait 6 months to get their business in? Or?
I mean, go when the time's right. You know? If it makes sense money-wise, I think it does here right now. I mean, that's where I'm investing my money. So.
Nice. Well, thanks again. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely. It's good to see you.
Good to see you as well.